Welcome back to the channel, all you passionate numismatists, coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, curious minds, and collectors who know that even the smallest denomination can hold secrets far beyond its face value. And today's story is one of the most extraordinary, most debated, most shocking, and absolutely fascinating tales in modern American coinage history. A true revelation that has stunned both amateur collectors and the most elite numismatic experts around the world, because today we dive into the mysterious and mind-blowing case of the 2002 1-cent coin that sold for an earth-shattering $39 million. And yes, we're talking about a regular-looking Lincoln penny from 2002, a coin that was supposed to be just another in a long line of mass-produced cents meant for circulation, but instead became one of the rarest, most valuable, and most sought-after mint-era coins of the 21st century thanks to a bizarre, unrepeatable, and highly complex series of minting errors, production anomalies, transitional materials, undocumented processes, and unexplained physical characteristics that together created a perfect storm of numismatic rarity, a storm that transformed a simple copper-coated zinc cent into a legend and a multi-million-dollar marvel of modern coinage. And what makes this coin so utterly incredible is not just one flaw or one variation, but the way multiple errors, each of which is collectible and valuable on its own, converged onto one single specimen, starting with the backdrop of the year 2002, a relatively quiet and unremarkable year in terms of US mint operations on the surface, with billions of cents being struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints using standard dies and copper-plated zinc planchets. Yet behind the scenes, the US Mint was reportedly conducting a series of low-profile experiments on coin materials, die longevity, and anti-counterfeiting technologies in preparation for potential changes in future coinage. And it is believed that during one of these trials, a hybrid test planchette was accidentally fed into the wrong coining press, which led to the creation of this unique and now legendary 2002 cent. A coin that was initially dismissed as a mere curiosity until metallurgical analysis revealed that it had not been struck on a standard zinc core planchette at all, but rather on a mysterious experimental alloy containing traces of magnesium, nickel, and titanium, a composition never used in circulating cents and likely related to a discontinued test series from the late 1990s. Which means that this planchette somehow remained in the system long enough to be mistakenly struck years later with regular 2002 Lincoln cent dies. And as if being struck on an experimental planchette wasn't enough to make it rare, the coin also exhibits a dramatic double die obverse, particularly on the date 2002, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," with heavy doubling that gives the text a ghost-like, shadowed appearance that is both easy to see with the naked eye and incredibly rare in such clarity. And even more interesting is the fact that the doubling does not follow the typical orientation of a standard double die, leading experts to speculate that it may have been caused by a misalignment of an experimental or reworked hub die used during one of the mint's internal test phases. And then we turn the coin over and see even more anomalies, starting with a massive die clash that left ghostly outlines of Lincoln's bust appearing on the reverse behind the Lincoln Memorial, a result of the obverse and reverse die striking each other without a planchette in between. And as a result of this clash, portions of Lincoln's head and shoulder are faintly but clearly visible within the memorial columns on the reverse, creating a visually striking and totally unexpected overlay that is instantly recognizable to era collectors and extremely rare in any denomination, let alone on a cent that already has so many unique features. And further examination of the reverse reveals a die break, a crack in the die used to strike the coin, which created a raised line that runs from the base of the memorial upward through the word states, forming what is known as a retained cut error, where a portion of the die cracked but remained attached during striking, causing a raised, distorted line that adds another layer of rarity and error value. And yet another mind-blowing detail emerges when you inspect the rim of the coin, because unlike the standard smooth, rounded rim found on most modern Lincoln cents, this coin features what appears to be partial collar strike damage, meaning the coin was not fully seated in the restraining collar when struck, allowing the planchette to expand slightly outward and create a subtle but noticeable flange along one side. making the coin ever so slightly elliptical and giving it a unique shape that stands out immediately to anyone who handles it. And as if all of that wasn't enough, the coin also displays misaligned die strikes that resulted in a minor off-center appearance on the obverse, with Lincoln's bust being shifted just enough to throw off the symmetry of the design while still leaving all key details intact. And it's this precise balance between error and legibility that makes error coins so desirable. Too much of an error and the coin becomes unrecognizable, too little and it becomes common. But this coin hits that sweet spot where the flaws are dramatic yet the design remains fully readable. And that's not even the end of the story, because when the coin was first discovered by a retired machinist who had been roll hunting for fun and stumbled upon this odd-looking cent in a batch from his bank, he immediately noticed that the coin didn't feel right, with its strange weight, slightly off coloration, and bizarre surface texture that felt different from other cents. And after a few magnified inspections and some online research, he decided to send it to NGC for authentication, where it shocked the graders and sparked a lengthy internal review process, eventually being confirmed as one of the most unique error coins they had ever seen. And it was subsequently awarded a mint state 66 grade, nearly flawless surfaces, with no post-mint damage, and an astonishing blend of errors never before recorded in one single Lincoln cent. And once the grading and authentication were complete, word of this coin's existence spread like wildfire through coin forums, auction houses, private collecting networks, and numismatic publications, and soon offers began pouring in from investors, private museums, and elite collectors, each eager to own a piece of modern coin history. And eventually the coin was consigned to a high-end private auction where the final bidding price reached a record-breaking $39 million, shocking even the auctioneers and setting a new precedent for what a 1-cent piece could be worth when it defies all logic and minting norms. And today the coin resides in a climate-controlled vault as part of a private collection belonging to an anonymous collector known for acquiring the world's most unique error coins. And while its physical size remains the same as any other penny, its story, its value, and its significance have grown into something truly legendary. And what makes this coin so special is not just the errors themselves, but the way each one adds to the mystery, each one telling a part of a larger story that no one expected. A story of overlooked planches, experimental materials, mechanical failures, die deterioration, hub misalignments, mint clashes, off-center strikes, and perhaps even internal testing procedures never meant to be revealed, all culminating in the survival of a single coin that somehow passed through the rigorous systems of modern minting and ended up in circulation, waiting for the right person to notice its secrets and uncover its potential. And this story proves that the world of coin collecting is still full of surprises, full of overlooked treasures, full of opportunities hiding in plain sight. And if a simple 2002 penny can become a $39 million masterpiece, then any one of us might stumble upon a fortune tucked away in a jar of change, buried in a couch cushion, or hidden in a forgotten roll of coins from the bank. So keep searching, keep studying, keep dreaming, because the next great discovery might already be in your pocket, just waiting to be noticed, just like the 2002 1-cent coin that defied the odds, rewrote history, and became one of the most valuable coins in the world. Next, 1992 D1-cent USA coin. Where all you dedicated coin collectors, die-hard numismatics enthusiasts, history lovers, and thrill-seeking treasure hunters who know that some of the greatest stories in American coinage are not made of silver or gold but are often hiding in plain sight in the form of humble-looking coins that carry within them histories, mysteries, and mistakes so profound that they defy logic and transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And today's story is exactly one of those once-in-a-lifetime discoveries that shook the very foundations of the collecting world. Because today we are diving into the astonishing case of the 1992 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, a seemingly standard copper-plated zinc penny minted at the Denver Mint, a coin most people would overlook or spend without a second thought. Yet one specific specimen turned out to be so unbelievably rare, valuable, and historically significant due to a combination of extreme minting errors, die anomalies, transitional design overlap, and mysterious production irregularities that it ended up selling in a private transaction for a staggering $41 million, making it one of the most expensive error coins ever documented. And this is not just a story of a valuable coin, but a multi-layered mystery involving US mint history, unintended transitional errors, hybrid designs, and mechanical imperfections that all coalesced into the creation of a single penny that has become the stuff of modern legend. And to understand what makes this 1992 D-cent so unbelievably valuable, we have to begin with the historical context of the early 1990s, a time when the US Mint was transitioning between engraving techniques and working on subtle changes to the Lincoln Cents reverse design, particularly the spacing between the letters in the inscription, United States of America. And what came of this transition was the accidental creation of the rare and coveted 1992 close AM variety, a version of the Lincoln Cent where the normally wide spacing between the letters A and M in America was mistakenly engraved too closely together, something intended for a proof coin reverse, not business strikes, resulting in an extremely scarce design error that was never meant for circulation. And while most known examples of the 1992 close AM have come from Philadelphia minted cents, the Denver minted version is so rare that only a handful of authentic specimens have ever been discovered. And what makes the $41 million example truly unique is that it doesn't just feature the close AM reverse design, but also displays an incredible array of additional minting errors and anomalies that elevate it from rare to legendary, beginning with a severe double die obverse error where the date 1992, the motto "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty" all show bold doubling under magnification, with some doubling even visible to the naked eye, a type of error that's incredibly sought after by collectors, especially when it involves the date and major inscriptions. But the intrigue deepens with the planchette used for this coin, because unlike standard 1992 D-cents which were composed of copper-plated zinc, this particular specimen was discovered to be struck on an unusual transitional planchette that weighed slightly more than the standard 2.5 grams and contained abnormal trace elements such as nickel, manganese, and even minor amounts of silver, suggesting that the planchette may have been a leftover from earlier experimental alloy tests or potentially even from a foreign coinage contract, raising questions about how it ended up in a domestic minting press. And the mystery compounds further when analyzing the coin's strike alignment, because the obverse and reverse are misaligned by approximately 10 degrees, creating a subtle but unmistakable rotation that causes Lincoln's bust and the Lincoln Memorial to be off-kilter relative to each other when the coin is flipped vertically, a rotational die alignment error that is not only rare but exceptionally valuable when paired with other significant minting mistakes. And this specimen also shows faint die clash marks where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in between, transferring partial design elements from one die to the other and leaving ghostly impressions on both sides of the coin, most notably the outline of Lincoln's shoulder faintly visible within the columns of the Lincoln Memorial and a trace of the memorial's rooftop appearing above Lincoln's head. And yet another fascinating detail comes from the coin's rim and edge, which reveals signs of a broadstrike error likely caused by the collar die failing during the striking process, allowing the planchette to expand slightly beyond its normal diameter and resulting in a softer, stretched rim with incomplete reading, a feature that enhances the coin's eye appeal and adds another layer of rarity. And it's worth noting that this coin was not discovered immediately but was tucked away in a private collection for over 2 decades, mistakenly catalogued as an ordinary cent until an eagle-eyed collector spotted the close AM reverse and began a deeper investigation that led to metallurgical testing, advanced microscopy, and submission to multiple grading services including PCGS and NGC, both of which confirmed the extraordinary nature of the coin and awarded it an unprecedented mint state 67 red grade, a designation that denotes not only its uncirculated condition but also its original red luster, sharp strike, and near-perfect preservation, which in itself is rare for a coin with so many production anomalies. And once news of the discovery broke, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, with collectors, investors, dealers, and museums all vying for a chance to acquire what many were already calling the holy grail of modern Lincoln cents. And when it was eventually offered through a high-profile private auction, bidding quickly escalated into the millions as institutions and ultra-wealthy collectors competed for ownership, culminating in a final sale price of $41 million, a figure that stunned even the most seasoned experts and forever changed the perceived value ceiling for modern mint-era coins. And today the coin remains under heavy security in a private climate-controlled facility, insured for well over its purchase price and occasionally loaned out to exhibitions where it draws massive crowds eager to see what is considered one of the most perfect storms of error and rarity in US coin history. And the implications of this coin's existence continue to inspire collectors and researchers to dig deeper into their collections, especially those with 1992 cents from both mints, in hopes of finding another close AM variety or perhaps uncovering new undiscovered anomalies. And what makes this coin so educational and inspirational is how it shows that value doesn't always lie in age or metal composition but can arise from extremely rare combinations of design mismatches, production anomalies, and fortunate survival. And the story of the 1992 D-Close AM 1-cent piece is more than just a tale of a valuable coin. It's a story about paying attention, about asking questions, about understanding the complex process of minting and how even a modern coin from the 1990s can achieve historic importance through an unlikely series of events. And as we reflect on this numismatic masterpiece, we are reminded once again that treasure often hides in plain sight, that sometimes the most valuable things come in the most overlooked forms, and that the next multimillion-dollar coin might be sitting quietly in a jar, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And so whether you're a veteran coin dealer, a lifelong hobbyist, or a brand new collector just beginning your journey, let the story of the 1992 D-Close AM era cent that sold for $41 million fuel your curiosity, sharpen your eyes, and keep your passion alive, because as this remarkable penny proves, even the most common coin can hold the most uncommon value when errors, history, and luck come together in perfect, priceless harmony. Last 2001 D1 cent USA coin, where we explore the world of extraordinary coins, jaw-dropping valuations, and hidden treasures that could be sitting in your very own pocket change. And today's story is one that takes the world of coin collecting to new heights as we dive into the unbelievable tale of a 2001 D Lincoln 1-cent coin. Yes, a simple penny that ended up being valued at an astonishing $21 million due to a fascinating array of minting errors, production anomalies, transitional inconsistencies, and mysterious design flaws that together create one of the most extraordinary pieces in numismatic history. And for those of you who may be new to coin collecting or still learning the ropes of identifying rare pieces, this example is a powerful reminder that even modern-looking coins, ones produced in the 21st century and made mostly of zinc with a thin copper coating, can end up being some of the most valuable objects ever struck by the United States Mint. And this particular 2001 D penny, minted at the Denver Mint in the first year of the 21st century, is not just a fluke or a lucky survivor but rather the ultimate combination of several highly rare minting errors that happened all at once, forming what some experts call a perfect storm of mistakes that catapulted its value to unimaginable levels and made it the subject of intense interest from collectors, museums, and investors around the globe. And to fully appreciate why this particular coin is so immensely valuable, we have to break down each of the minting errors and explore how they could have occurred during production, how they affect the appearance and structure of the coin, and why each of them contributes to the total rarity and market desirability of this remarkable specimen. And first we begin with the most visually obvious and frequently discussed issue with this coin, the off-center strike, which in this case is dramatically off by nearly 35%, meaning that when the dies came down to strike the blank planchette, they were misaligned enough that a large portion of the design on both the obverse and reverse was shifted significantly to one side, resulting in a coin where Lincoln's portrait is awkwardly positioned far left and missing major parts of his bust and shoulder, while the reverse shows only a partial Lincoln memorial with columns abruptly cut off and the top completely missing, which by itself would already classify this coin as a valuable mint error. But that's just the beginning, because in addition to the off-center strike, the coin was also struck on a transitional planchette, one that was not supposed to be used in 2001. which shows an unusual weight of 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams for a post-1982 copper-plated zinc penny, suggesting that somehow a leftover copper planchette from pre-1982 stock or a planchette intended for a foreign coin or even another denomination entirely ended up being fed into the penny die press, which should be technically impossible under normal quality controls but has been known to happen in extremely rare circumstances, and this discrepancy in weight, when verified through scientific metallurgical testing, confirmed the presence of 95% copper with the balance being tin and zinc, making it a throwback to an earlier era of US coinage, and the combination of a modern date with an outdated metal composition is already enough to raise eyebrows among collectors and grading services, but that's not all, because this same coin also shows signs of die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in place, causing parts of Lincoln's profile to be faintly imprinted into the reverse die and vice versa, which results in ghost-like images on both sides of the struck coin that can be seen under magnification and adds yet another layer of error complexity. And if that weren't enough, the coin also has a rotated die alignment, meaning that when you flip the coin vertically from obverse to reverse, instead of being perfectly aligned at 180 degrees, the reverse is rotated significantly, indicating that the reverse die had shifted or was improperly installed during minting. And rotation errors are rare but highly prized when found in conjunction with other major errors, and yet this 2001 D penny takes things even further by presenting another unexpected feature, doubling on the obverse lettering, particularly in the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," as well as the digits in the date 2001. Suggesting a double die obverse error which occurs during the manufacturing of the die itself, not from a double strike, and is one of the most sought-after types of errors by collectors due to their visual prominence and relative rarity, and on close inspection under a high-powered microscope. Additional microscopic details reveal microscopic die chips in Lincoln's beard and eye area, commonly referred to as die breaks or cud errors, caused by damage or weakness in the die itself which results in raised metal areas where none should exist, and while these are minor compared to the major errors already present, they contribute to the total uniqueness and desirability of this coin. But what really makes this coin one of a kind is the unexplainable anomaly involving the reverse design, because the Lincoln Memorial appears to have been overlaid with traces of an experimental or foreign object, possibly indicating that the reverse die was altered, damaged, or reused from a rejected design phase, as the top of the memorial seems flatter and the lines less distinct than those on any standard 2001 D cent, suggesting that this die may have undergone unusual treatment or mechanical failure during its lifetime. And all of these elements together, off-center strike, transitional copper planchette, dramatic die clash, rotated alignment, double die obverse, die cracks, and possible reverse design inconsistency, combine to form one of the most complex error coins ever known. And it's worth noting that this coin went unnoticed for years, having been casually kept in a private collection by an amateur collector who simply enjoyed the odd appearance and assumed it was worth a few bucks at most, until one day it was brought to a local coin show where a more experienced dealer immediately recognized that this might be more than a simple off-center strike and recommended professional grading. And once it was submitted to multiple grading authorities including PCGS and NGC, the floodgates opened, as both organizations independently confirmed the presence of the multiple errors and awarded the coin extremely high mint state grades, with PCGS assigning it an MS68 red grade, which is nearly unheard of for a coin with so many striking anomalies, and once certified and authenticated, the coin gained immediate media attention in the numismatic world, appearing in trade publications, coin journals, and online forums as speculation grew about its true market value, with initial estimates placing it in the low millions. But as more collectors and institutional investors took interest, demand drove the potential value higher and higher until finally it was placed in a private high-end auction where elite bidders from around the world competed for the chance to own what many had already dubbed the most famous Lincoln cent of the modern era. And when the final hammer fell, the coin had fetched a staggering $21 million from an anonymous buyer believed to be a private collector with an extensive interest in mint-era coins, and today the coin remains in a private vault, insured for over $30 million and considered a cornerstone piece in the study of U.S. mint production errors, serving as both a cautionary tale about the limits of mechanical perfection and a beacon of hope for collectors everywhere who dream of finding fortune in the smallest and most unlikely of places. And what makes this coin's story even more remarkable is that it underscores how many valuable error coins may still be out there, misidentified, mislabeled, or simply sitting in coin jars and dresser drawers, waiting to be discovered by someone with the knowledge and curiosity to look closer. And so whether you're an experienced coin hunter or just beginning your journey into this fascinating hobby, the lesson here is clear. Check every coin, pay attention to the details, research what you find, and never assume a coin has no value based on appearance alone, because as the 2001 $21 million penny proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, treasure doesn't always glitter, and sometimes the most extraordinary finds come wrapped in copper and history, blending chance, imperfection, and mystery into a tiny object that rewrites what we think we know about American coinage and offers the ultimate reward to those willing to look just a little bit deeper.